YouTube, wir schauen jetzt, Gaming has a big problem with Arab and Muslim stereotypes. Auf Deutsch, Gaming hat ein großes Problem mit arabischen und muslimischen Stereotypen. Wenn ihr kein Englisch könnt, der hat englische Noobs. Das wurde mir heute vorgeschlagen, ist ein kleiner Kanal, relativ viele Aufrufe. Ich bin gespannt, vor allem, weil ich würde dem Titel auf jeden Fall erstmal zustimmen, so wie das ist. Wir sind ja programmiert geworden, so mit der Propaganda, Digga, dass wir kein Problem damit haben, dass Palästinenser sterben, aber bei weißen Opfern machen wir immer 100 Schweigeminuten, Alter. So, und ja. Wenn ihr das auf YouTube seht, lasst ein Like da, lasst ein Kommi da, also euch selber, hihi, und ein Abo und checkt meinen Stream aus, mein TikTok auch und ja, rein.
Man, shut up, you asshole tree. Yeah, I know he's from the desert, but you don't gotta call him a desert man. It feels gross, you know what I mean?
LOL. Fuck America. Aber America hätte doch keine AK, Digga. Die hätten keine AK. Die hat zu viel Aura, die AK. Die hätten irgend so eine amerikanische Dreckswaffe.
While I was working on my last video about what being a gamer in the Middle East was like, there was a giant neon elephant in the room that I wasn't sure I wanted to acknowledge. Ultimately, I decided to not clutter that video up with this topic and kept it focused on being a nostalgia trip / novelty video. But, as someone who is actually somewhat qualified to speak on this subject, I feel like it would be wrong of me to not at least wave at that neon elephant. Yes, as you could already tell from the title of the video, I wanted to speak a bit on what Arab and Muslim representation in gaming looks like. In my research, I was both surprised and not surprised at how little coverage this topic has
Schau mal Untertitel an.
Actually gotten over the years. There's been a ton of content produced regarding black representation, LGBTQ representation, Latino representation, etc, etc. Yet we, as Arabs and Muslims, seem to have flown under the radar a bit, despite how insanely obvious the problem is. I don't think I'm gonna be blowing any minds with this video, but it's important to start having this conversation and laying things out as clearly as possible. And mind you, I'm not here to just complain, although there will certainly be a lot of that. I have some solutions in mind, but we have to actually look at the issue before we talk about how to fix it. Oh, and for the people who are inevitably gonna take this video to the shittier parts of Reddit and Twitter and jerk each other silly about how the snowflake SJWs
oh my God.
are getting triggered about representation again, I politely ask you to fuck off. I have points I want to make, and if someone making critical observations about the medium is enough to make you clutch your waifu body pillows in indignation, perhaps I'm not the one with the problem, khayyi. Anyway, to set the stage just a bit, I want to bring up a study someone did of Arabs in films because I think there's a lot of similarities to be found there. I don't want this video to be too steeped in academic language, so to condense things down, in 2001, Dr. Jack Shaheen published a study examining 1,000 different films where Arabs made an appearance. Essentially, he had a system where he rated these films as either having a positive, neutral, or negative depiction of Arabs and Muslims. Wanna guess how many he judged as having a positive depiction? 12. Not 12%, just 12. 52 had a neutral depiction, which means that 936 had negative portrayals.
What? Also, ich habe mir schon gedacht, dass es nicht gut ist, ne? Aber, also... boah, Alter. But, Gott sei Dank leben wir nicht in Nordkorea, weil da gibt's so viel Propaganda.
And this was before 9/11. Yes.
Before 9/11? Ach du Scheiße. Boah.
Really. I don't want to get too in the weeds about this study, but there's a documentary made about it that I highly recommend you check out if you want the full breakdown. I really wish someone would make a similar study about Arabs and Muslims in video games because I couldn't find any contemporary analysis like that. Hell, if I had the funding and resources to sit down on my ass and play 1,000 games, I would make such a study myself, but, you know, money doesn't grow on trees. But anyway, for the purposes of this video, I want to pull his
Fuck America, fuck the West.
observations about the patterns found in
Fuck the CIA.
these negative stereotypes because, surprise, surprise, they pop up in video games all the damn time as well. The first major one, and the one I'm sure you immediately envisioned the second you read the video's title, is the terrorist stereotype. The dudes blowing shit up stereotype.
Yeah, I for one played my fair share of Call of Duty, so I know.
Stereotype. I can't imagine I have to elaborate much on this one. Even if you're the most alt-right ass, 4chan ass, racism isn't real
Fascist piece of shit.
ass son of a bitch to have ever walked the earth, you
Follow your leader if you're fascist.
have to concede that video games
Krass, mir wurde das Video vor 5 Minuten vorgeschlagen. Ja, die wissen halt, ne, was Nereliya dir zeigen wird. Wenn 9/11 nicht passiert wäre, könnte man bestimmt auch im Flugzeug eine rauchen. Digga.
have a massive tendency to slot Arab
CIA was hier, 9/11 was an inside job. Wir alle wissen das, Digga. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. So. Und erklär mir mal, warum einen Tag davor da Leute von den geheimen also von diesen geheimen Diensten waren. So, erzähl mir das mal, Leute, erzähl mir das mal. Und wie kann also dieser Turm in sich zusammenbrechen, perfekt, als wäre er unten gesprengt worden, wenn da oben ein Flugzeug reingerast ist? Like, Leute, ich bitte euch.
into the evil
So, also, ne, können wir bitte darüber reden?
terrorist role. You just have to. Dr. Shaheen made this observation
9/11 2001 oder 1972? 2001. 1972 ist real und das war Amerika natürlich. Und das ist auch das Bedauerliche. Das ist das Bedauerlichste 9/11 ist das, wo die Pinochet gestürzt haben, die amerikanischen Drecksschweine.
before 9/11. So what do you think
Warum wurden die Türme gegen Terror versichert? Was wurden die echt? Damn.
Arabs in media looked like afterward? The contemporary war shooter is the home for this kind of stereotype. Despite how much we loved Call of Duty's multiplayer in the Middle East, the campaign deployed you into fictional Arab country registered trademark and asked you to shoot nondescript Muslims in the face, with the infamous Khalid al-Assad leaving quite the impression on people. Modern Warfare 2 also had you shooting up a bunch of insurgents in Afghanistan. Then there was Battlefield 2, which also took place in fictional Arab country registered trademark, and Battlefield 3, which had you fighting actual Iranian people in Iraq. You can look at Medal of Honor, Splinter Cell, Rainbow Six, on and on we can go. Like I said, I feel for anyone that has looked at the back of a AAA shooter's box in the past 13-ish years, this stereotype is
Warum waren am 10. September so viele Pizzalieferanten an Armeebehörden? Das ist auch ein guter Punkt, ja, das ist auch ein guter Ton. Write that down.
pretty damn obvious. Most Arabs and Muslims in these games are either gibbering extremists who want to take your freedoms away, or a weirdly charismatic extremist.
Oder also ich weiß immer, wir haben immer MW2 gespielt und dann wenn du halt randommäßig so als die nicht amerikanische Seite gespawnt bist, dann hast du halt immer irgendwas auf Arabisch gesagt, wenn du eine Granate geworfen hast und so. Das war schon ziemlich cool. Ich habe das schon echt gefühlt. Aber ja.
Who also wants to take your freedoms away. Look, I didn't make this video
Also ich finde halt Amerika scheiße so.
to tell you that shooting violent fuckheads is a
Guck mal,
bad thing.
wenn ich das sehe, denke ich mir halt so, Digga, warum mache ich das gerade? Ich bin eine böse Person. Warum bin ich gerade in diesem fictional Arab Country?
This is basically the
Aber okay, als ich angefangen habe COD zu spielen, war ich ja auch erst 16 oder so oder 14 oder keine
face representing
Fuck America.
more than a
But also like fuck the West.
billion people.
Fuck Germany.
Maybe it's time to step back and wonder what message you're sending to the world. Speaking of the message, there was actually a study done by a professor at my alma mater, the University of Michigan. I'll link the whole thing in the description, but basically she found that
Ich muss immer an die Russian-Szene denken, ja.
people who play games depicting Arabs and Muslims in this way are more likely to associate them with the terrorist stereotype. Yeah, I know, a real mind-bending conclusion, but it's nice to have someone taking a more scientific approach. She also found that even when the terrorists in the game weren't Arab or Muslim, we still got associated with terrorism, suggesting that the connection between Muslim and terrorist is so strong in pop culture that the mere suggestion of one group immediately conjures images of the other. That's when you know things have gotten out of hand. I haven't blown up shit, and yet I still get associated with people who have. My only offense is constantly being overdue with returning library books. I don't really think I should get saddled with the blame of conspiring to destroy the Western world, assholes.
Ja, seht ihr?
And one One more thing
Ich mag die Western World nicht und ich kann nicht mal Arabisch.
before I move on. Something that I find really weird is that even though Muslim terrorists are often the grunts in these shooter games, we rarely ever have the clout to be the main villains. Often the ones pulling the strings are Russians,
Ja! Ja!
who also have had a rotten deal.
Ja, Digga, oh mein Gott!
Basically, we're simultaneously horrible terrorists and too dumb to even be the masterminds of the plot. Talk about adding insult to injury. Anyway.
Das ist halt wirklich so krank, ne?
Terrorism is not the only negative stereotype Dr. Shaheen found in his study. There are a couple of others that cropped up even when the characters were quote-unquote good guys. A major one, and
Du hast eine neue Chili-Pflanze, das ist geil.
one I also see fairly often in video games, is the Bedouin stereotype, which I would personally extend to just generally being removed from modern society. You might find it strange that this is considered a negative trait. I mean, when you think of the very few Arab and Muslim heroes in gaming, you might think of Altair, or the Prince of Persia, or some of the Gerudo in Zelda, or that one dude in Uncharted 3, Sheikh Salim. But see, here's the thing. I feel that the very vast majority of the time when there is a good Arab or Muslim, they always tend to either be from medieval times or to be as far removed from contemporary society as possible. As if the last time we were worth a damn was around the time the fucking Astrolab was invented. Like, I kinda just want to take what I can get, but this is a baffling phenomenon that has two different implications. One, this pattern of representation means that a lot of people
Digga, das Video ist wirklich mega wichtig und richtig, Alter.
People think that we still live like that to this day. Hence my story in my last video about how I would be asked if we even had televisions in the Middle East.
Ja, for real. Da hat man ja auch letztens das, wo Schubli und Sarah und ich drauf reagiert haben. Die Nake Boys, Alter. Wie die Nake Boys da in Israel waren und da diese Propagandascheiße gezeigt bekommen haben. So, ja, die essen auch auf dem Boden und bla 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 hier. Und Digga, wirklich, das war, also das hat er genau auch in dieses Stereotyp reingespielt, so.
Question asked without any malicious intent, but was clearly being influenced by the image the person had of where I came from. And two, it suggests that modern-day Arabs cannot possibly be sympathetic figures and are mostly committed to the taking away your freedoms agenda discussed earlier.
Auf dem Boden essen ist doch fucking based. Ja, mein Gott, Alter, jetzt zerlegt nicht diese Einzelaussage. Darum ging's gar nicht. Die wurden einfach als unzivilisiert dargestellt.
Look, I don't begrudge developers.
Meine Güte, Alter. Digga, ohne Scheiß, ich komme hier die ganze Zeit mit meinen Brüsten gegen meinen Mikrofonarm und ich muss wirklich sagen, es fühlt sich auf eine gute Art und Weise cool an, dass es passiert, aber irgendwie fuckt es mich auch ab, so. Irgendwie so. Am Tisch zu essen ist nur westliche Indoktrination, ja, based.
For making games like The Prince of Persia. Hell, The Sands of Time is one of my favorite games ever, period. But positive representation can't just be from an era or place where people treated camels like Ferraris. Well, to be fair, we don't just have heroes from a time before toilet paper was invented. Dr. Shaheen also noted that there existed the opposite side of the coin. He described this stereotype as being naive, carefree, and hedonistic, someone who pursued their own pleasure. This stereotype also makes up the few other Arabs and Muslims I've seen in gaming. Think of Yusuf from GTA 4. Yeah, he's one of the protagonists.
Hey, what?
Think of Yusuf from GTA 4. Yeah, he's...
Was ist das?
one of the protagonists
Brüste sind im Weg. Ich glaube, Neri ist nicht ganz unwirklich, dass ihre Brüste ans Mal kommen. Ja, ich bin heute Morgen aufgewacht, war sogar der. So, baby huge as fuck.
I guess, and he's at least as good as
Ist schon geil, so.
you can be in GTA. He's certainly a fun presence on screen, no doubt about that, but he's the embodiment of this stereotype. Dude has a golden Uzi and lives life as a reckless orgy of sex, drugs, and spending. According to his dad. Basically what I'm talking about is an oil baron or real estate mogul who has infinite money and usually comes from Dubai, or fictional Dubai, as might be the case. And on a similar vein, if you catch the rare sight of an Arab or Muslim woman in a game as the terrorists
Das ist ein Hund, das ist ein Pitbull oder sowas, ne?
tend to be men, they're probably dressed like this. There's a handful of exceptions.
Digga, aber like, die sehen auch alle drei fucking hot aus. So, sorry, wenn ich das jetzt hier so, ne, aber
Like
Das ist alles, like, das alles sind Transition Goals, weißt du, wie ich meine so?
Deus Ex or Just Cause, but this is usually your lot. Gaming already has a problem with sexualizing women, and this sure as shit isn't helping.
Scheiße.
Dr.
Fuck, I'm part of the problem.
Shaheen had some other points to make, but
it's about sexualizing women.
the ones I mentioned are the ones that I've had the most exposure to while playing games. We're either stuck being represented as terrorists, uncivilized ancient relics, or crazy rich dudes with a fleet of Bugattis, or belly dancers. In the name of fairness, there are a handful of positive examples you
Das Jiggeln, oh yeah.
can cite. A lot of fighting games tend to have the designated Arab character, and while they're usually
Lol.
drenched in stereotype, it's no worse than most of the other characters, for better or worse. Uncharted 3 is probably one of the better AAA games in recent memory when it comes to Arabs. Yes, you're saved by a group of Bedouins, because of course you fucking are. That's one of the very few games I've seen that depict modern Arab cities that aren't smoking craters in the ground. We get a glimpse of Syria and Yemen, and while your time in the latter is mostly confined to a bazaar, you can at least argue that those still exist in plenty of cities, so I can't get up its ass too much. Still, while I'm sure people will yell some counterexamples at me as if it invalidated everything I said, whatever you scrounge up can only possibly be a pittance, a drop in the bucket. And
Yeah, for real.
like the study I mentioned earlier, this imagery does have an effect on how people think of us, which is why it's important
Safe.
to point these things out and push for something
Meine Mutter hat keine Ahnung, was Iran jemals Böses gegen sie getan hat, aber sie weiß, dass Iran die Bösen sind.
better.
So, wisst ihr, wie ich meine so?
Which leads me to the solution.
Und das ist auch ziemlich klar, dass, also das wird einfach in den Medien auch anders, like, so arabisch gelesene Menschen werden einfach anders dargestellt in den Medien, Alter. Das ist einfach so. Like, das kann man nicht denyen.
As I mentioned at the top of the video, the easy solution is obviously to talk about the problems and draw attention to them, like what this video is aiming to do. We need to acknowledge the issue and discuss the hows, whys, and whos, so we can start figuring out what we actually want to see in the media we consume. Personally, I just want to see the kind of person you might find on the streets of Beirut or Amman, someone who lives in a modern Arab city who isn't absolutely loaded with cash. I'm sure there's examples, but I certainly can't think of many. Let me know, actually. I ask sincerely. But this dialogue is only the start. Truth is, I don't really think running up to white people and begging them to start treating us better in their games is gonna work. Not by itself. If we want to see ourselves treated better in Western media, we have
Gibt's überhaupt Spiele, wo die USA der Feind ist? Ja, das nennt sich Real Life.
to acknowledge that we have a responsibility to start getting into these industries and changing them from the inside, creating our own works of art. I got a degree in journalism and film because I wanted to do that very thing, but you know, that's gonna take a bit of time. I'm doing what I can with my skill set to raise awareness,
Sei doch nicht so direkt. Doch, ich habe Autismus.
but it certainly doesn't stop here. There are Arab game studios, of course, though the ones I find seem to only really put out mobile and light.
Ich sage oftmals Sachen zu ernst oder zu direkt oder ich manchmal, ganz ehrlich, ich habe auch voll das Problem, dass wenn zwei Leute in meiner Nähe irgendwas Privates reden, dann höre ich einfach zu und dann rede ich einfach mit, als würde mich das irgendwas angehen. So, ich bin, also, weißt du, ich kenne da nix. So.
Licensed game.
Dieses Real Life hat aber eine miese Story, Grafik ist okay, aber sonst, ja, ist halt schon belastend. Ich habe Freunde verloren, weil ich zu ehrlich bin, kannst du dir das vorstellen? Ja, kann ich mir sehr gut vorstellen. Ja. Also, kann ich mir sehr gut vorstellen.
There are a couple of high-profile Arab game directors working for bigger companies, like Ashraf Ismail, the director of Assassin's Creed 4 and Origins, though he seems to have been accused of sexual harassment, so maybe he's a bad example.
Oof.
There's Joseph Ferris, the creator of Brothers and A Way Out, and also the greatest man alive today.
Can you swear here? Can you swear?
swear on the
Okay.
internet.
Fuck the Oscars, you know? Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you! I'll tell you! This is insane. If the whole world tell me your game is shit, I'll tell them, no, it's not.
Right.
That's how much I believe in it.
Okay.
All right?
Those are words to live by. And I mean
Viele mögen eine direkte, ehrliche Art nicht. Ja, weil die Leute einfach voll die Pisser sind. So.
that without a
Und, das ist so wie wenn man soll sich gegenseitig die ganze Zeit fragen, wie geht's dir und so, und dann soll man die ganze Zeit sagen, gut. Und man so einfach so, ja, das Wetter und ach, die Arbeit und Digga, ganz ehrlich, fuck mich nicht ab mit diesem scheiß NPC-Talk, Alter, ganz ehrlich, die könnt eure komische scheiß Fassade der Freundlichkeit gerne in Ruhe, oder der Indirektheit könnt ihr gerne, also, was soll das? So, sei einfach ehrlich zu mir, sonst check ich, dass ich diese ganzen, dass Menschen die ganze Zeit irgendwas sagen, was die eigentlich nicht wirklich meinen, das ist einfach nur verwirrend, Alter, ganz ehrlich. Und dann sagen Leute, ich bin weird, Alter. Aber eigentlich sind alle Menschen, die, also, eigentlich sind alle anderen Menschen weird. Wisst ihr, wie ich meine so? Diggi, geiler Content, schön, dass du da bist. Und wo dann? Viel Spaß im Lurk. Mir geht's übrigens gut, Kappa. Ja, mir geht's auch gut. Muss, ne?
Trace of irony. Listen to that shit, man. Anyway, I don't want you guys taking the wrong ideas away from this video. If you're white,
schön, dass du an den Balken, habe ich dir schon Hallo gesagt?
This isn't to shame you, because white guilt has never really done anything for anyone, if it only manifests as people stuttering apologies on Twitter for shit that they didn't do. If you're Arab and or Muslim, I don't want you thinking you need to feel bad for liking any of the games I mentioned. I played the shit out of some of these games myself. And if you're a member of some other minority group in America or Europe, I hope that you find some parallels between your experiences in media and ours, and perhaps come with us to help improve things. I think it's important to be conscious of the media you consume.
Die Hintergrundmusik ist so geil.
Participate in dialogues about what's going.
Wie geht's euch heute? Mir super geil, muss ja morgen wieder ackern. Dann entspann dich mal schön. Ja, an sich, also mir geht's ehrlich gesagt, also ich bin aufgewacht, ein bisschen abgefuckt, weil ich wusste nicht, was ich essen sollte und ich schon wieder angefangen habe, Bauchschmerzen zu bekommen irgendwie. Aber so an sich bin ich gut gelaunt, also Wake and Bake und ja. Ich bin halt momentan einfach voll am Durchziehen, so mit YouTube und TikTok und Insta und so, deswegen so, ich hab Spaß und ich mach das und so. Deswegen checkt mein TikTok aus.
Most importantly, if you think you have the technical or creative skills, I encourage you to get into the gaming industry and starting to influence things from the inside. I really think that's how things actually start to change. That's it from me on this topic. Before I go, I do want to acknowledge that a lot of my recent subscribers are Arabs. If the comments section of the last video is any evidence, I really do appreciate you guys' support, and I hope you enjoy seeing an Arab's perspective on gaming. I will say that not every video I make will strictly deal with Arab issues like this video or the last, but rest assured that whatever I make, you'll be getting that pinch of spice, of Arab spice, that few other channels are providing. But until next time, Masalama.
Geiles Video, wenn ihr das auf YouTube seht, lasst ein Like da.